Hey everyone, this is Marianne and welcome to my channel. In this video, I would just like to share with you an unboxing and first impressions of the Fiskars Rotary Paper Trimmer that I purchased recently. Now it came packaged this way, it was very well packaged, and I had quite an adventure trying to unpack it. But I'm actually glad that it was packaged this way because it came delivered via a private courier. It was a 24-hour delivery thing, and they can get pretty rough sometimes, especially when they don't really know what's in the parcel, even if it's marked fragile. So I'm glad that the shipper decided to package it this way. And I actually have been needing a new paper trimmer for a while. If you've seen my last video about putting together my daily pages for December 2017 and January 2018. The paper trimmer that I was using there was my old one, and it was just a basic, generic, unbranded one that was not a rotary trimmer, and I've had it for quite a while, so it has become dull over time, but in the end I have decided to just invest in a good rotary paper trimmer because according to my research, these cut more accurately and last longer. And I also purchased extra blades. Like in this pack here that I purchased, there are 2 additional blades, so I'm set to go for a while. And this is the very first time that I'm actually getting a paper trimmer that is this complicated because the older paper trimmers that I've always had were the guillotine ones that that is usually used in offices, and then after that I had the basic plastic paper trimmer that you've seen in my previous video. So this would be the most sophisticated, air quotes, paper trimmer that I would be having. This is the paper trimmer that actually has a swing out arm so that you can cut down bigger papers or bigger sheets of paper down to smaller sizes without having to measure independently from the paper trimmer. So this paper trimmer, because of the swing out arm, actually measures the paper for you without you having to take out a different measuring tape or ruler to measure the paper away from this paper trimmer. I've also heard that you can use this same paper trimmer to score sheets of paper. You just have to switch out the blades from the cutting blade to the scoring blade, but I don't have scoring needs right now. My needs are not really that complicated. I really just need this for cutting, so I didn't get that one. So this is the paper trimmer. It feels so substantial. It is much, much heavier than my older trimmer. And then this is me just trying to figure out the parts and how to move the parts, and it has that transparent paper guard there, the one that I am holding, and it's what keeps the paper in place and also prevents smudges from being transferred onto the paper because we don't have to hold the paper down with our fingers. We just have to hold them down with that clear panel over there. And that switch is to unlock the rotary blade, but once that's up, the rotary blade can already be moved very, very freely along the rail. You might be amused by what I did though. What I did was I took a different ruler and then I marked down on the paper trimmer the 95 millimeter mark. It's off camera, I wasn't aware, but I wanted to make sure that I'm able to cut down personal size pages for my planner, which is 95 millimeters by 171 millimeters, and I wanted a permanent mark, a special permanent mark on the paper trimmer for that purpose. I also did the same thing to the swing out arm right there. I used the same marker to mark the 171 millimeter mark with a ruler to remind myself that that is where I should keep the end of the paper that I'm cutting down if I want to cut it down to personal sized inserts. And so from there, I just tried cutting down a piece of scrap paper into exactly personal sized sheets, which is 95 millimeters by 171 millimeters. So there I lined up the edge of the paper with a 171 millimeter mark, and that would be the height of the insert. And then I lined it up again with the 95 millimeter mark that I have recently placed on the paper trimmer, and then use that to cut the paper down to size, and that is exactly personal sized inserts. And to make sure, I'm even taking my own ruler to check that the lines are okay, that nothing is crooked, that everything is the right size. And then I repeated the same process for the remaining piece of paper. And then I decided that as long as I'm trying out this paper trimmer and trying to get used to it, I might as well cut down more personal sized pages that I can use for pasting some ephemera on them. So I went ahead and did that, and I just did the same thing over and over. And it was quite easy. It did not need any pressure at all. It did not need any heavy pressure on the rotary blade, and every cut was precise and straight and crisp. As I went along, I kept putting the stacks of cut paper together to make sure that everything is pretty much the exact same dimensions and that nothing is rough around the edges, especially when the papers are already stacked together. And I have noticed that indeed everything was clean and crisp. So I'm perfectly happy with how this paper trimmer performed with ordinary paper. But of course, I simply had to try out this paper trimmer using Tomoe River paper, which is very, very thin, as you all know by now. So I just took this scrap of paper. If you can remember this page, this is the swatch page that I came up with when I was doing my "Here are all of my inks, parts 1 and 2." So I just took that one and then tried to cut it up into personal sized pages. And then, because if you remember the previous video that I have, which I was cutting down paper, the paper trimmer was having a rough time because it had a dull blade, so it kind of caught on the edges of the Tomoe River paper. But this one is very, very sharp. There was no catching on the edge of the paper, and everything was just very, very smooth. So I'm very happy with the performance of this paper trimmer. All in all, I am happy with this paper trimmer, and I am glad that I purchased it, and I think it's very, very much worth the money that I paid for it. It cost me 1,800 pesos, which converts to about $35. So I know that I'm going to be using this for a very, very long time. So I highly recommend this paper trimmer. And that is my video for you today. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, bye!